get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most amazing homesteading channel on the entire freaking planet that has absolutely nothing to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. So folks, I'm down here in a different location today. It's got my pond back here. Can't really see it because of the flora and fauna, but it's there. Isn't this mimosa tree beautiful? It's absolutely gorgeous. So I just went live on our Facebook page, Sick Twisted Humor. Thank you if you're one of the 836,000 people over there supporting us. Appreciate you. And so I came here to make a video about what I talked about when I was live streaming, because this is something that has nothing to do with Bigfoot Sasquatch, but you never know what may or may not walking around in the background back here. Might want to go dip in my kid's pool back there. It is 86 degrees right now. My family and I were having a conversation this morning over breakfast. It kind of came up because of the pancake syrup bottle. It's just a number of things. And listen, beautiful parts of our history is being erased due to this thing called cancel culture. And this is terrifying. And I'm going to share some history with you that every school child in America should be taught, but they never will, because this part of history has been canceled. So my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, was talking about something she'd seen on social media yesterday. I think it was on Facebook or Instagram. It was a reel or a shorts. You know, same thing. They call them different things on the different platforms. But she said there was just this guy in the street randomly asking people a question. And so these two girls come by. They're like 18 years old, getting ready to go off to college next fall. And so he asked them the question. And the question was this: how many genders are there? So they come by. He says, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" "Yeah." And he says, "How many genders are there?" And he puts the microphone in the girl's face. She goes, "2." And her friend freaks out. She's like, "Shh, don't say that. This is gonna be on the internet. We're going to college in the fall. They're gonna kick you out of college. You can't say there's only 2 genders." And then the girl realized what she said, and it's gonna go online, and she might get kicked out of her college next fall because she said there's just 2 genders. Isn't that insane? I mean, when I was in college, you had to commit a crime to get kicked out of college. Like, you had to beat somebody up or rob a liquor store. But now, if you state your view, which is a fact, you can get thrown out. You can get locked underneath the jailhouse. So, my son plays guitar. He takes lessons. He's getting really good. He's learning on an acoustic, because if you learn on an acoustic, you can always play an electric. But if you learn on an electric, you'll probably always struggle with an acoustic, because it takes more finger strength, more dexterity to play the acoustic. You got to press down harder. The strings, they hurt your fingers, but you develop those calluses, and then you can go to an electric and just fly like crazy, right? So he wants an electric guitar, and we're raising him in such a way that he knows you don't just get things. Hey, Christmas, birthdays, whatever. But if you want something, you want money, you got to work for it. You got to earn it, okay? Sadly, 40% of the U.S. population are just given money. They're given their EBT cards, their public housing, their free health care. 40%. Seriously. Hey, there are politicians that catch hell about saying this. Mitt Romney was one of them. Donald Trump was one of them. And I'm not political, but they caught hell when they said, you know, unfortunately 40% of the population will always vote Democrat because they need their welfare benefits. Guys, that's a fact. I know. So anyway, so usually when my son wants something, he'll say, "Dad, is there some work I can do? Can I wash the truck for some money? Can I mow the grass?" But he's talking to me about this electric guitar. I said, "I will tell you how you can earn your electric guitar. All you got to do is read a book." And I told him, read the book, 1984 by George Orwell. And I have a copy in the house because I've read it at least 3 times myself. Many of you have read it. George Orwell was only off by about 40 years, because here we are in 2024. Cancel culture is alive and well. And in his book, there's this concept called double speak. Now, what is double speak? Double speak is defined as when you say something that you know is not true, but you act like it is. Or when you believe, if you're listening to other people talk, you'll hear them say something that you know is not true, but you act as if it is. So it's like you're lying to yourself. So like when the guy asks the girl, how many genders are there? And she says 2. Well, she knows that's true. But the other girl said, wait a minute, we live in a day and a time. You know what? The correct answer is supposed to be 7. Yeah, somehow. I don't know. I've read it, but it's supposed to be 7. So an example of doublespeak would be if somebody asked me that question, how many genders are there? Well, there's 7. I know that's not true, but I will say it and I'll act like I believe it because that's what is currently accepted in our current culture. It's doublespeak. George Orwell got it right. He nailed it. And you say, well, no, you got to worry about people's feelings. Hey, facts don't care about your feelings. They don't, okay? And they're just facts. We pulled him out of the public schools because this nonsense has gotten so crazy, and he was actually being harassed by one of his teachers last year. The teachers sent out questionnaires at the beginning of the school year, and I filled out almost all of them because there were questions like, what are your child's interests? How could I really get his attention or her attention and keep it? So it's like, oh, this is great. He loves football, basketball, guitar, riding motorcycles. He loves to travel. He's been in multiple countries, even though he's only 13. He's born overseas, been in like 30 states, just great kid. But then I get from this one teacher, the first question is, what are your child's preferred pronouns? Well, I just didn't fill out that questionnaire. I just didn't answer it. And I had a conversation with him. I said, listen, this is something that I guess affects some people, but it doesn't affect us. And we're not going to play into this. We're going to have no opinion on this. And it took me almost 50 years to figure out that I do not have to have an opinion. And, what they say, silence is consent? No, it's not. Silence is silence. And by me choosing not to have an opinion, especially on matters that don't directly affect me, that gives me peace of mind. I don't get dragged down into the gutter arguing about it. It's a beautiful day. There goes somebody on a Harley with a really loud thing, stereo, I guess. But, thought I saw a snake. By not having an opinion on things that don't directly affect me, I'm able to put my resources, my mental and emotional resources into the things that do affect me. I'm able to focus more on providing for my family, taking care of my property, doing the things I love, writing the next book. Yeah, believe it or not, it's coming. Creating social media content. I don't care about the noise, okay? So anyway, this teacher harassed my son all year because I didn't fill out that questionnaire. Here's an example. One day after lunch, he and one of his friends were getting a little too far away from the group. They're on the playground area. So she says, hey, you guys, come back over here. So they go back. And then she gets in my son's face and she says, I'm sorry to refer to you as a guy, but I don't know how to refer to you because your parents never responded to my questionnaire about your preferred pronouns. Well, my son just ignores her. He doesn't play the game. He didn't take the bait and be, but my dad said, no, he's just like, whatever. This woman was a joke. She was a joke. She doesn't belong in the schools. Hey, if you're a teacher and your students know your political ideology, you suck and you shouldn't be allowed around children. I don't care if your political ideology is exactly like mine. And if you believe what my family believes, the classroom's no place for it. All right, so we pulled him out of the public schools and he's being homeschooled now. K12.com, not being paid to promote it, but check it out. It's a great alternative to the nonsense that's going on in public schools today. Okay? So anyway, the CEO of Pepsi Corporation lives about 1.5 miles away from me. I bike and run past his property all the time. Say hi when we see each other. I need to stop and have a conversation with him because I'm going to read to you a beautiful part of American history that should be celebrated. Should be absolutely celebrated, but it's been canceled. And this came up while we were having breakfast, because when I looked at the pancake syrup bottle, I did not see the beautiful, welcoming, comforting face that I saw every morning growing up as a kid, that I came to love, that made me feel like I was at home, with this comforting face on this pancake syrup bottle. That face, of course, being the face of Aunt Jemima, or as her real name was, Nancy Green. You're going to learn all about her right now in this video, and sadly, if things don't change soon, an entire generation of Americans will never know this story. But first, here's a conversation I want to ask my neighbor up the road, the CEO of Pepsi, why he did this. In June of 2021, Pepsi Company, the owner of the Aunt Jemima brand, discontinued the name and rebranded all products as Pearl Milling Company. The name change was in response to criticism that the brand was a racist stereotype that featured a caricature of a black woman. The company also removed the Aunt Jemima image from packaging in the fourth quarter of 2020. Let me tell you who Aunt Jemima was. She was an American hero, okay? The world knew her as Aunt Jemima, but her given name was Nancy Green, and she was a true American success story. She was born a slave in 1834 in Montgomery County, Kentucky, and became a wealthy superstar in the advertising world as its first living trademark. Green was 56 years old when she was selected as spokesperson for a new ready-mixed, self-rising pancake flour, and made her debut in 1893 at a fair and exposition in Chicago. She demonstrated the pancake mix and served thousands of pancakes and became an immediate star. She was a good storyteller, her personality was warm and appealing, and her showmanship was exceptional. Her exhibition booth drew so many people that special security personnel were assigned to keep the crowds moving. Nancy Green was signed to a lifetime contract, traveled on promotional tours all over the country, and was extremely well paid. Her financial freedom and stature as a national spokesperson enabled her to become a leading advocate against poverty and in favor of equal rights for all Americans. She maintained her job until her death in 1923 at the age of 89. This was a remarkable woman, and sadly, she has been erased from history by politics. Cancel culture. Can you imagine the achievements of that woman, born into slavery, freed later in life due to the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation, went on to become a living trademark for a corporation, first one in history, went on to be an advocate for rights of women, of blacks. She became wealthy, and her image was in every kitchen in America. And now she's nowhere to be seen. You know, there are parts of our history that are not pretty. Slavery, women not being allowed to vote until the 1920s when Susan B. Anthony and the women's suffrage movement, and Aunt Jemima, who was still alive back then, you know, unequal rights. And there's still things going on today that are not fair. We're working on it, and I do believe we're going to get there. But the way we get there is not through doublespeak. It's not through stating falsehoods, but acting like we believe it. That's not making things right. That's brainwashing. That is indoctrination. That's why, again, our kids not going to the public school anymore because they don't educate anymore. They indoctrinate. His teacher, and I'm not going to say which subject she taught, but she spent more time on harassing this kid because his parents didn't send in the questionnaire about pronouns than she did discussing the content of the subject matter she was supposed to be teaching. And she's just one of many, okay? There's some good teachers out there. I have a sister that's a teacher, and she's great. And she's very political. She's very strong in her views. but she doesn't take them to the classroom with her. None of her students or her students' parents could tell you if she's a lefty or a righty or somewhere in the middle, because it's not the place, and she knows that because she's a great teacher. They are out there. The one my kid had isn't one of them. So listen, they say that those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you what we're going through here now. Those who don't want you to know your history want you to repeat it. And you know what? It does go back to slavery, but it doesn't have anything to do with skin color, because modern day slaves are not in chains. They're in debt. Yeah, everybody's money's green. Well, it's dollars. Go to the Philippines, it's purple and yellow and orange and all this stuff. But their livelihood, the ones at the top, the ones in control, who want us to fight over nonsensical issues of supposedly there's 7 genders instead of 2. They want us to fight because we don't see what's going on. That they're told, buy this, buy that, buy the, oh, don't have the money? Hey, your house just went up $50,000 in the last year. Pull out some equity. Get an equity line of credit. Oh, here's this credit card. It's never been easier in the world to get credit or to go into debt right now. That's why the interest rates aren't coming down. They don't have to bring them down. The poor and the middle class yuppies who don't understand finances are continuing to spend, so why would they lower the interest rates? Those bankers are getting 7% on your debt because you're a modern day slave. You're not in chains. You're just in debt. And the more of our history that you forget, that they can erase, the more you're just gonna repeat it, brother. All right, I gotta go. I'm going to get canceled on every social media platform out there saying this kind of stuff. Whatever. See you for more next time here on the greatest homesteading channel on the entire planet that has nothing whatsoever to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. Grid.